What if you could write code with Claude Code without paying that pesky subscription fee? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today, but we're going to use models running on your local machine. So if you're excited, give us a like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And with that, let's get on with it. I've gone through this in some of my previous videos, so feel free to skip ahead. But the first thing you're going to want to download is LM Studio. That's my personal favorite just because it gives you a little bit more fine-grained control. You can do it with Ollama as well, which both of these software, all they do is enable you to download local models and run basic inference on them. They both support local server settings. So with Ollama and with LM Studio, they'll broadcast the local model across the computer, and we just need to take note of what that URL is. Once you've downloaded LM Studio, we go over here into the search mode. What you're going to really want to consider here is a couple of things. The first of all is obviously the model itself, what you want to do with it, whether you have heard good things or bad things. I can't tell you what model you should choose. Personally, the latest Qwen Coder 3 is a great model for a couple of reasons. You've got 30 billion parameters on Qwen Coder 3. You've got 14 billion on Qwen Coder 2.5, 32 billion Qwen Coder 2.5. You've also got a bunch of community models here. Now, because I'm on a Mac, I'm going to untick GGUF. It's not as if they don't work, but these are just more performant for Mac uses. So the reason why I like Qwen Coder is because it has quite a large context window. Some of the other models don't quite have a great context window for working on larger code bases. Unless you can tell me down in the comments how I'm supposed to make smaller context windows work with larger code bases, for me, they're just kind of out of the question. So Qwen Coder actually has, I think, like a 236,000 context window. Another great model is Devstral. Now this has an 120,000 context window size. So yeah, something with a big context size. The other thing you want to pay attention to is obviously the size of the model. One, the actual space on your hard drive you've got to download the model, which in this case is 13.28. But secondly, the amount of VRAM that you have in your machine. I've got 64 gig, so this one will be quite easy for me to load into my VRAM. And again, you've got some community versions here. But once again, go and download models. Ollama have their own set of models to download as well. In my opinion, a little bit nicer to kind of pick through them all. Regardless, you can download GPT OSS. This is totally fine on LM Studio as well. But regardless, you want to download the model of your choice. And then once that's downloaded, you can click load model here, or you can go over to model selector and download them here. What I like to do is on each of these models on the config screen here, let's take OSS as an example. I always set the context size to the maximum allowed, so 131027. And then that way, when I load it over in this area, let's do GPT OSS, it will load with the maximum context size window. I've done another video, or will be doing another video on KV cache quantization. It reduces the context size just a little bit, but not noticeable in terms of speed or anything like that. It's worth just trying to see what sort of luck you get with the quantization on. So this is now loaded in, and what I'm taking note of, I've got my status, my server running, and I'm taking note of the URL here. So it's 127.0.0.1 port 1234. If you're on Ollama, the port is 11434. So with the LM Studio side of things set up, let's get on to Claude Code. Now the tool we're going to use is Claude Code Router. Now I'm only scratching the surface here on what Claude Code Router is capable of. Ultimately, it allows you to use all of the quality of life benefits from Claude Code, such as memory, such as skills, such as MCPs, all of that good stuff, but reroute it to open router, your own choice of model, whether that's a closed source or an open source model. You can also take advantage of your other subscriptions like the GLM coding plan, the Minimax coding plan, or indeed GBT codecs. But in our case, we're going to route it to our local model. You're obviously going to want to download Claude Code. I'm assuming you've already done that here, but then you want to download or npm install Claude Code Router. So in my terminal here, copy and paste that. We'll install Claude Code Router. Now, the other thing I'm taking note of is that LM Studio will tell us the paths that it's capable of supporting, and it's registering that it's an OpenAI-like, which kind of makes sense because we're using an OpenAI model, but this is just something just to take note of in case it uses something different. One thing I will say is that I've had issues in the past where my Claude wasn't set correctly in my paths. All I did was go which Claude, and it will tell me my path here. I can then copy this. And then the easiest thing I recommend doing is just go and CCR UI, and this will open an interface. Go into the UI and set my path. As you can see, it's already set there. You just might need to do that. You might get an error. You can see I've got a bunch of providers set up where I can point it to a llama. So I actually have a llama already set up here. I've got some open router ones, and I've got Anthropic here. So if we add a new provider here, we're going to name this local LM just so we can differentiate it. And for our API URL, we have 127.0.0.1, 1.2.3.4. We're going to append v1 chat completions at the end of that. And the API IP can be anything. The models, of course, is going to be OpenAI, GPT OSS 20 billion, or whatever models you want to use. We want to also use the Qwen 3 model because it has a bigger context window. Default, we're going to set GPT OS as our background. We're going to set GPT OSS as well. I think just so we can demonstrate it really quickly, it's going to be Qwen Coder, but our also long context is also going to be Qwen Coder. So if we save and restart that, head back into our terminal in a new tab. We can also go CCR model here and just verify that all of the models are selected. You can select a new model if you'd want. So default here, we're just going to reselect the same one, and you can just do it all through the CLI. But if we go CCR code, it should spin up Claude Code with Claude Code wrapping around it. And if I go to sort of default mode, let's keep context size down and go read me, tell me about this file. And that should do its thing. If we head into LM Studio, back into here, we should see prompt process report spinning up there. And we open up our GPU history. You can see our GPU is being fully utilized, and we wait for a response. And there we go. We've got a response from GPT OSS now. What we're going to do to trigger Qwen Coder is go into thinking mode and say, tell me more. And what you'll notice that I haven't actually loaded the model in LM Studio, but what will happen, it will register that that's the model that I'm trying to query, to use. It's going to load it in automatically for us. So you can see that everything's starting up. My GPU, I mean, I don't know if you can hear that, it is going off. We can see that it's using Qwen Coder as the thinking model. Obviously, to have these two loaded side by side, you need adequate VRAM, which I do have, fortunately. And there we go. We got a response from Qwen Coder using thinking mode. Now, that took a while. And as I've been saying, with all of these local coding things, you really need very, very good hardware to be able to run these. It becomes debatable whether it's even worth running a local model, but it's really enjoyable exploring how this is done, because I do believe in the future consumer hardware will be able to run these models. These models will become more efficient, potentially even leveraging the CPU a little bit more. But ultimately, we have Claude Code running local models. So if you have any questions for me, leave them down below. If you have any advice on how we can squeeze more out of these local models, so I'm not waiting around for 5 minutes per prompt, join me over on my Patreon for early access to videos just like this. That's patreon.com/0x5m5. Links for everything will be down below in the description. Until next time, keep on vibing.